And welcome back to Little Cuts, our weekly minisode where we dig into the things that we've been watching, yes, recently. I had to think about that for a moment. I'm Terry.
And I am Mary Beth, and this week we are talking a fantastic sci-fi epic in the making. Ooh. Found footage that made MB scream. Hey, that's me. Queer slasher on a boat. Hee hee hee. Corn. A period set found footage film. Ooh, 2 found footage films this week. Wow.
And one
and
of them
Chucky
is not
and
Mary Beth's.
Drag. I know. And Chucky and Drag.
And Chucky and Drag.
Oh my god, I cannot wait to talk about the end of Chucky season 2. What the fuck?
Yeah, so before we do get into all of that, though, Patreon, if you are subscribed, your new seltzer is out as we're recording right now, so it'll be out. If you're listening to this on Friday, it's a wild one from what I remember.
It's very funny. I gag. So
yeah.
If you like to see me in pain, ooh, never mind.
Let's not go down that route.
50-50 chance I edit that out of the episode. So 50-50. Not quite sure yet. Yeah, we have that.
On next Wednesday, what do we have, Mary Beth?
We have an incredible conversation about the 2021 film New Order by Michelle Franco. It's on Hulu if you want to subject yourself to this movie before our discussion. I'm sorry, there's no other way to describe it. There is no other way to describe it.
It really isn't.
So before watching the movie and or listening, just check the trigger warnings because it's like trigger warning for every possible thing you could think of. So yeah, that'll be up on Wednesday.
It's a good conversation for a very divisive movie.
Yes, I really hated it. And so Terry and I have a very good conversation, especially about like the line between like New French Extremity and this, and like it was a really good, really, really awesome like talk.
Yeah.
And thank God, I think that's the kind of movie that demands that kind of discussion.
And I've been like wanting to have a discussion about this film with someone for like 2 years now, so I'm glad. Yeah. I'm glad we got to do that.
Yeah. And I still don't know how I truly feel about that movie.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have brief update from MILF Manor. Nothing too exciting.
Oh, yeah.
MILF Nothing Manor too exciting. I'm starting to realize that this show doesn't know what it wants to do.
Oh, now you're starting to.
Well, I see this because I looked at what episode we're on. We're on episode 6, and I looked at how many there's supposed to be, and apparently, according to IMDb, there's 8 episodes. And I'm like,
oh, cool. So you have no idea like how this is going to wrap up whatsoever,
or if it will. Maybe they're trying to like make MILF Manor like Beverly Hills, or Wives of Kumbaya type thing, because maybe they just want to keep. I don't understand what is happening. All I know is that this episode was boring as fuck. The only part that like made me cringe, because there's always a part that's going to make me cringe. There's 2 actually. One is they're all getting massages blindfolded by the boys, and the boys were also blindfolded. So eventually the boy and the women are, I mean, they're laying down, so they're laying on their stomachs, but they're topless, and so they're like rubbing up and down, and the boys don't know if they're going to be, which one is going to be their mom, except one of them, Lisa Wilcox, was moaning. And her
my god, she was moaning? No, not
her
the
son
moaning.
Realized that it was his mom that he was massaging that was moaning. And in a confessional, she says that she really loved that one. So that's awkward for her to watch back, I'm sure. And then Joey, the youngest boy in the mansion, who is interested in the oldest woman in the mansion, says, "I'll be around for the rest of your life." And he was flirting, and I'm like, I don't know if that is the thing you want to say to a 59-year-old. I'll be around for the rest of your life. And then the rest of the episode was just terrible. It was just boring as fuck, but yeah.
Oh my god.
I know this is probably going to shock you, Mary Beth, but I don't think anyone in this house is going to find love. Spoiler alert.
I think I might agree with you, because it sounds like they've barely found out who any of the other people are at all.
Yeah. You win dates, and so it's like 1 or 2 people end up going, couples go on a date an episode, and I'm like, this seems counterproductive, but okay. Yeah, whatever. That's MILF Manor. I want to hear about this found footage that made you scream. Speaking of screaming, moaning.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so Dutch Marriage has put out the second film in the Horror in the High Desert series. This is Horror in the High Desert 2, Minerva. So as of the publication of this episode, it should be on Prime Video. It might not be. It's kind of like in the air. It will be on Prime Video very soon. So this is the sequel, obviously, to his first film, Horror in the High Desert, which is a found footage film, which follows a guy named Gary. He is, and it's basically like a pseudo documentary about like him disappearing. And the end is like one of like the fucking scariest things I've seen in a long time.
Don't spoil. Oh
no, I'm just saying.
Is this the new one?
This is the first one.
Oh, the first one. Okay.
So, and Gary, like, we all know that Gary's, like, it's obvious that Gary, like, the whole thing is about him being, like, his disappearance and, like, why he disappeared. And so the second one picks up and kind of expands on the reasoning why Gary has disappeared and, like, what he found when he was going out. He was going out and, like, to the middle of nowhere, like, kind of, like, you know, adventurer going out in the desert 2 to 3 days, and people knew, and this expands upon what happened in a way that is like even more of the scary shit of the first one, but like packed in even more. I think it's really cool to see how Dutch is expanding the world of Horror in the High Desert, because I know he wants to do a series, because the second one ends on like a note of where there'll be a third one, which is interesting because it's kind of, he's building this like web of conspiracy theories, which I think is really fascinating. I think the only problem here is the movie's an hour and 14 minutes, and he packs a lot of shit into an hour and 14 minutes. And so it can feel a little bit confusing as to like, what is going, like who and what and everything. But like that aside, there is some like incredible, tense, prolonged, tense moments where I'm like, please end. I can't do this. I yelled at my screen at one point.
This is the movie you tweeted about, right?
Yes, this was the movie I tweeted about that I had my shirt over my face. Like,
which, by the way, I love that you do that, because I do that too.
Oh, fuck yeah.
That's like a signifier of how scared I am of, like,
over my face. I was going like this. Or again, like, I don't do that a lot. It's really, really effective in its scares. I think that Dutch uses the format of found footage and also uses sound design really well. Because a lot of the horror that's going on is invoked via like these really weird, I can't even describe the sound, so it's not even a spoiler because like I couldn't fucking explain to you what the sound was. There's some really harrowing stuff going on in this movie, and I'm really excited to see like where he goes with it.
Awesome. I'm excited.
I don't like give out too much away, but yeah, basically it follows the format of and expands upon like what happened to Gary in the first movie is like not an isolated incident, and there's something going on in like the creepy weirdness desert of Nevada. So
that's exciting.
I won't give too much away, but
I'm excited. I'm going to watch the first one this weekend for sure, and maybe I'll watch the second one too.
Yeah, I'm
really excited.
Yeah, the first one is really good. The second one's even scarier. He gets into the scares quicker. I think is really like what comes down to it. So this will be on Amazon Prime soon. Hope soon. Yeah, that was what I've been told by Dutch himself. So if you're a fan of the first one, definitely check this one out. And if you haven't watched the first one, just check that one out too. Again, it's a short one and it's really good. So highly recommend. Yeah, man. Like I haven't been that freaked out watching a movie in a while. I was watching it in bed on my iPad, and Steve laid down next to me at one point, and I go, "Ookie spooky," and I grabbed his leg. He's like, "You good?" I'm like, "Yes, it's just scary." So I yelled at one point, and I yelled, "What the fuck?" And he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yes."
That's hilarious.
So if that should be a ringing endorsement from me. Caveat was the last film that wigged you out, Kate. Yeah, Caveat fucked me up too. Yeah. That movie is... Oof.
There's that moment of pure tension in that one that just like really...
But what about... Okay, I'm gonna switch around a little bit because I want to hear about your found footage. So let's just like found footage corner. So what is your period set found footage? I actually didn't look on Letterboxd because I wanted to be surprised. I could have very easily looked at what this was, but I like being surprised.
I saw a little film called 1974, La Possession de Altair. Because we talked about it recently.
Made myself lightheaded doing that. I think it was really hot in here. Anyway, sorry.
We had talked about it recently. I can't remember with who it came up in a conversation. And I honestly...
It did, super recently. Like, super
Yeah.
recently. I don't know if it was a Little Cuts or if it was... I think it was a Little Cuts.
Was it? I could not remember,
I don't
but
know.
I just remembered that it came up, and I was like, shit, I think I own that one. Because Cauldron Films put it out. And I bought that. I did buy that one with the Collinswood...
Yep, Collinswood
story. Yeah. So, yeah, Mary Beth's talked about this on the show before. I'm pretty sure. I'm fairly certain, 99% certain that you talked about
I
this
have. I
once.
watched it. I actually watched it as part of the Unnamed Footage Festival, but their online version like 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean,
God,
there's...
that was 2 years ago.
What is time?
Fuck. Anyway, sorry.
We're coming up on our, what?
Shh. Old.
Fourth? Is it fourth?
Yes, it's gonna be 4. I think it's gonna be 4.
2019 to 2023. Yeah, it'll be... Jesus. Okay. Now I'm feeling old. Yeah, so it's set in 1974. It nails the look of 1974 so perfectly. I kept getting... Yes, Kate, it is in Spanish. And it's about so it takes place in Mexico, and it's set in 1974, and they're using like period specific cameras for it. And so like the look of the film was giving me like Skinamarink vibes, not necessarily the content of the film, but the look of the film, to the point that there's like this one really freaky moment where it is like someone sitting in a cellar stairwell, and
Oh, it's the best, isn't it? It's so good.
it's so good.
I have screenshots like of every frame of that because I'm like, this is like how you make a fucking scare, because you can barely see what's going on. Barely.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
And it's the same thing that I said in my review about Skinamarink, where like once you start to see the darkness with like the very dirty screen, that you start to like see things writhing in the darkness, even with there not being anything. And so there's this moment just kind of plays out almost like the moment from Hereditary, where people start to like maybe realize, because like
yeah.
I was like, oh fuck, and then Cass was like, oh fuck, like it was just like you don't really notice it until you do.
I love how much your roommate... I always forget that Cass watches almost all of this with you, and I'm like, Cass is getting like the full indie horror motherfucker experience living with you. Like, you're like probably one of the 50 people that have seen La Posession de Altair.
I know, but yeah, it's really good. It's just about this young newlywed couple. She ends up acting weird. Weird things about her past start to like maybe coalesce, and things start to happen around the house. She starts to build this brick wall in their bedroom, I think, somewhere, out of these bricks that just get mailed to her, and she paints them black, and she starts like, it's just really weird. I will say that I did figure out where it was ultimately going based on some like little tropey things, but it's still, I love the ending, even though like I was like, this is what's gonna happen. But it's still,
I still love it though. I love how they frame it.
Absolutely.
How they frame it, and then it's not that. I won't spoil it, but like I was super stoked on that. So good. But there's also a moment. There's the husband is walking through the woods for a long time with just a flashlight, and that's all. And like not a lot happens, but it's super tense of him just like it's very Blair Witch in terms of like him just in the woods looking for, I think it's his wife. But this movie, this movie is initially a 2016 release, but like nobody saw it. So I think last year was when Cauldron Films put it out with the Collingswood story, which is actually one of the first Screen Life movies ever made. Oh. Collingswood story from 2001.
Oh, it's from 2001?
Oh yeah. Oh, it's from like super, yeah, no, it's like, it's super, it's like looks the way it does because it's from 2001. Like the director was making it with like, without knowing like what Unfriended would be.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, if you have to watch, guys, 1774 La Posession de Altair is like good. One of these like found footage hidden gems that more people need to see. And like it's well made. It's a period piece, so it's filmed on like I think like 16 or 35 millimeters, so it's like super grainy, or at least it has that appearance.
8
and the twist I think is super fucking cool. Like
it is cool.
Like even if you can see it coming, I don't think I did, but like I don't know, I'm dumb.
I I just like,
I'm just being an asshole to
we've
myself.
we've talked about this before with like Sixth Sense, where I go into a movie and I'm just like looking for the twist, and I think you had mentioned that it
Yeah.
has like a big what the fuck ending, and so I was like already
Yeah.
kind of primed to be looking for something, and so I was like,
That's
oh,
true. That's
this
fair.
is
Because
what's
when I
gonna
first saw
happen.
it, I knew nothing. I was just like, oh yeah, we're gonna watch this. It's really good. It's like super weird, and I was like, cool. And then
But it's good. I also really like
you
this.
have been indoctrinated, and you've been indoctrinated into the found footage cult. Ha 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 ha! I win.
Speaking of cults, let's talk about corn.
Wow, incredible segue. So, okay, everybody, I watched the new Children of the Corn movie that is now in theaters. 2023 Children of the Corn, directed by Kurt Wimmer, the mind behind Ultraviolet. I'm not here to tell you it's a good movie. But I'm also not here to call it a terrible movie. I am here to call it an incredible sci-fi original movie that is like definitely not good, but it is an enjoyable like creature feature watch if you want to drink or like I don't think it's terrible. Actually it's like so bad it's good. It kind of loops around to that, and like it's one of those things that is camp. And it's how I kind of talk about like Winnie the Pooh. Like it doesn't know it's camp, so that's why it's like perfect camp because it doesn't know it's camp. But like this new one almost functions like a prequel. It's not. It's like it's new characters. We don't have like the couple showing up in the town. It actually takes place at the town before all the parents die, and we find out that like the corn is dying, the land is dying. They poison the crops with these like pesticides or chemicals, and they're trying to figure out what to do because now like this town is dying. It's in Nebraska. Shocking. And then basically it's like one of the teenagers watching this all happen, and the little kids kind of going rogue, and this teenage girl is kind of like the beacon of trying to help and like kind of that bridge between adults and like little kids. And it's her trying to like fight back against the evil children who have like been influenced by the man in the corn. It's brutal. Like the thing is, like, again, dialogue isn't great. It's like a little cheese. The CGI isn't great, but like some of the kills are downright brutal. Like I enjoyed like they didn't shy away from gore in terms of like people getting ripped in half, like eyeballs getting torn out. So like we have really pretty decent gore. I've seen people say that the lead girl isn't scary. I thought she was really I liked her quite a bit, especially because she's a fucking child. So like it's not a great movie, but like it's kind of fun and like this is certainly something that happened. I'm not sure you should pay to watch it in a theater. I would wait till it comes out on streaming. I'm proud. This is probably the nicest review you'll ever hear about this movie, which is so terrible, and I feel bad. But yeah, so it's a Children of the Corn movie.
None of them have been that great.
It exists. So I took the bullet for you. And actually I had more fun with it than I was expecting. I think my expectations were so low that I was like, okay, you know what? You have some pretty good twists, and you have like a bloody pit full of corn with some cool shit going on in it. I'll take it. This could have been worse. So yeah, that's
The
the
thought
Children
of
of the
the
Corn.
poster.
I
Could have been
know.
worse.
Could have been worse, but but moving from corn, expanding the scope quite a bit, what is this fantastic sci-fi epic in the making?
Oh my gosh. If I had known what this show was about, I probably would have started watching it a bit earlier. So there is this Apple TV show. It's now in its third season. It's called For All Mankind. And how I saw it was like pitched was just like it's following the space race. As if the space race never ended was like the kind of pitch. And I was like, okay, historical fiction. Boo. Not really on this board. I'm kind of boring. I was a little curious about it because Ronald Moore, the guy that did the Battlestar Galactica remake, that was like so excellent. Did you ever see that TV show?
Oh no, I didn't, but I know of it.
Yeah. So he did that, and then so like this is him, kind of space, and I was like, okay. And then I started watching it, and it starts out. I heard a lot. So, like, I'm not hearing a lot of people talk about this, but everyone that has talked about it has said great things about it. So I was like, okay, I have no TV to watch. I want to watch this. So I started watching it, and it opens up with like JFK talking about the space race and how embarrassing and bad it would be to fail this, psyching up to getting the first person on the moon. And then it cuts to like everyone watching as the lunar landing is happening. The astronaut steps off the shuttle and starts speaking in Russian. So
speaking in Russia.
In Russia. Start speaking in Russian. And so it posits, what if Russia got to the moon first? And that's why the space race never stopped. Is because we were trying to like compete with Russia during the Cold War to kind of one up them. So in the second episode, Russia sends its second cosmonaut on the moon, and it ends up being a woman. So all of a sudden Nixon is like, we got to get a woman team of astronauts together because they still haven't put anyone on the moon. And so they get this team of women astronauts going on there. So it tackles female pilots, it tackles people of color. One of the women pilots that is trying to become an astronaut is a black woman. There is a queer woman. And so it's tackling sort of like, but see, the thing is that back then, if you could not have a security clearance and be outwardly queer. If people found out, you were queer, you got fired. You lose your security clearance.
Bless.
Because you could be a blackmailing piece. Same with mental illness. You could not be seeing psychiatrists. You could not be seeing anyone because otherwise that shows weakness and you could lose your security clearance. So it's tackling that with PTSD from an astronaut that comes back from space. It's tackling women going to set up on the moon, queer people having to hide who they are. So it's tackling a lot of that while at the same time being a thing about like hope for the future. And the first season is about them getting to the moon. The second season so far, I'm about halfway through it, is about them setting up a base on the moon. And I believe in the third season, it's the journey to Mars. So, and this is all happening. Like right now it's in 1984 when I'm watching it. So it's like progressing as if everything were accelerated. And
cool.
It's fucking fantastic.
Joel Kinnaman's in it, which is cool. And so is Michael Dorman, which is cool. Michael Dorman is in Daybreakers, aka one of my favorite vampire movies of all time that like no one else thinks. Ethan Hawke. Sorry.
Also, Lost Connection, Penny from Lost is in this.
Penny.
And she is a badass. She looks like, she reminds me, she gives off the kind of like Linda Hamilton T2.
Oh,
aura.
shit. Okay.
She's like
cool.
butch, take no nonsense. Like, I love her. And she is absolutely fantastic in this. It's it's so good. It's so good.
Apple TV is actually pretty killing it.
Yeah.
Okay. I honestly probably wouldn't have watched this, but now that this makes me want to watch
wouldn't have either. Once I found out the first 5 minutes, I was like, well, if they had told me this, I might have been more interested.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah. So that's For All Mankind.
Sick.
And then we both watched
a queer slasher on a boat.
Yeah. What was this, Mary Beth?
This is Wreck, which is exclusively streaming on Hulu. It initially premiered in the UK. It is now streaming exclusively in the States on Hulu, where we follow... I've seen the first 2 episodes. I don't know, Terry, about you. Okay. So far, it's basically like a slasher. It's like a slasher with a bunch of people working on a cruise ship, which are notoriously terrible places to work. And I'm surprised we haven't seen more shit on cruise ships. And as we've seen, our villain is dressed like a duck, which is the mascot. But it follows a young guy whose sister, who we see in the cold open, has gone missing, died. It's not really like super clear in the cold open, but he's coming on to basically do like investigative mission to figure out where she is and what happened to her. And on like while he's doing this, he's also kind of building a little family of little weird queer kids. Like they're adults, but they're like in their 1920s. Like they're adults, but barely. He is gay. I think Vivian is her name, who he hooks up with is gay.
There's a trans actress.
The trans actress. The writer and creator Ryan J. Brown is also queer himself, so it's just like super gay. And it's darkly, it's not a horror, it's horror comedy, but it's like dark funny. It's not super funny. It doesn't like rely as much on the humor. It's got the like dry British
It's
wit
British humor
to it,
yeah,
that I like. But I'm really enjoying it. I didn't know what to expect, but it's really smart, and it's not just about, I think like the marketing leans into the duck, which I get, but I think a lot of it's about like found family and also like dismantling structures that are fucked up, because you kind of see like, and I think it goes into it more, I think, later about like how people are treated on the boat, and like how there's levels of people on the of like workers on the boat, because we see that with like cliques at first, like performers are like this level, and then people of color who are like more like, you know, more laborers are kind of treated worse and worse. So we see that as well.
It reminded me of Triangle of Sadness in that regard.
Oh, okay. I still have to see that. But it's definitely like doing a lot of critiquing of this industry, which is, I think, really good, because I think cruises are disgusting for a lot of reasons, and I think it's cool that Ryan J. Brown is trying to like bring attention to that, but also put like through a queer slasher lens.
Yeah, it's really queer. I'm having a lot of fun. All 6 episodes are now on Hulu. I'm going to be reviewing it with Joe, so we're doing an episode by episode. So we'll be watching it over the next few weeks.
Wait, did they only give us 2 episodes and they put all 6 out on Hulu? Well, that's rude. What is that?
I know.
What's that? Yeah. But yeah, so if you want queer slasher television,
The Killer Duck.
We really are like, horror TV is like really, and like this is actually a pretty good transition for our Chucky, our end of Chucky season 2. But like horror TV is like, pardon the pun, killing it. Like I finally am watching The Last of Us, fucking incredible. We have Wreck. We have so much other cool.
Servant is on its final run. Episode 8, I believe, premieres today, and it is a fucking killer episode. Probably my favorite of the series. The number of times I gasped in it is a lot. So we have that. Yellow Jackets is coming back.
The Dead Ringers adaptation is coming to Amazon Prime or to Prime Video. Yeah, like we are in a golden age of horror television. I mean, horror is incredible right now, but like horror TV, I think, is being slept on a little bit. So
agree.
yeah. But speaking of horror TV, speaking of like really good horror television, we finished Chucky season 2.
Yes,
we are now caught up officially.
We are caught up.
I have now seen every thing of the Chucky / Child's Play franchise,
except the remake.
Well, whatever. In the canon, the
ones that matter. Sorry, Aubrey Plaza, but.
And I've even seen Living with Chucky, which I saw before I watched any of them, except for Child's Play.
I know, that is so wild to me.
Yeah, I never said I was smart about that, but whatever.
So episode 7 gives us the weirdest exorcism I think I've seen.
Weirdest exorcism of all time, but the only exorcism I ever want. Iconic exorcism of Chucky as like a problem solving. So you get like black and white, like confessional flashbacks of everyone confessing their sins. Like the structure is incredible of this episode.
It really is.
It's so good. I'm like, this is a fucking show about a doll killing people, and we have like these really these black and white flashbacks, like Devon Sawa as the priest and Jake confessing his sins, and then like Devon Sawa's priest and the nun like having these moments together, and like it's these really. And then I think there's a one with Glenda. Is there one with Glenda as well? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Glenda has one as well. It's like they're having these confessionals. We don't, like, at first you're like, what the fuck? But it's because they're going to do an exorcism of Chucky.
And they all have to be blessed
and
and
to be
sinless.
Clean. They have to be... But just like, as you probably know, the rules don't apply to Chucky. But before that, we see our beautiful Nadine come back in a little, like, an adorable dress that's like flashing lights and stuff, and it's like super cute and angelic as Lexi is like going back onto drugs because she's like, this is way too much, which is like an incredibly thoughtful portrayal of like teenage drug addiction. Like, I know we said that we don't want to care about Lexi, but like, fuck, god damn it, they got me.
Yeah, yeah.
They really do make you care about her, which is so annoying because she sucks in the first season, at least for the first half. But
I have a hard time still rooting for her just because she was so bad in
I
those first two
know,
episodes,
and I don't
three
like fully
episodes.
root
But
for her still.
no,
but like
but
with her going through the drug addiction stuff, I'm like, damn, like
that was
they
such a
really
sweet
do.
scene.
I know, and like Nadine is like, you are better. Like you're already so strong, and like I'm crying because it's like it's what she is saying about it can like be applied to other stuff, and I'm just like, Nadine is so pure, it's not fair. And she's like, everyone like goes to the amusement park in the sky. My ticket just came early, and I'm like, fuck you. This is too much for me to be watching
I
on like
know.
a fucking Wednesday afternoon.
There was part of me that was like really hoping that Chucky would inhabit her body or something because of the orange hair connection that they were setting that up. Because I was like, I want more Nadine.
I know. But no, he just occupies everyone else's fucking body.
Yeah, the rules are getting a little flimsy flumsy for me.
See? I've been on their asses since day one about what the fuck the rules are of this fucking doll and the voodoo. Because, so they do, like, an exorcism of Chucky where, like, everyone is there. Devon Sawa is, like, performing the rites of exorcism.
Doesn't he, when in his confession, doesn't he come out? Isn't that him, like, kind of talking around the subject of it?
Maybe. Probably.
Because, like, he was like, I knew that I was different, and I knew that the church didn't, but I wanted to be a priest. And she's
Which is
like,
interesting, because I feel like you would... I feel like Don Mancini would... I guess it is pretty obvious, but at the same time, like, I feel like they'd be like, yeah, no, like, some... We're obviously queer. But at the same time, like, I can see that.
Yeah. And then Chucky inhabits his body briefly and makes him explode. Like 4 times.
Incredible explosion
Sunday.
scene. Absolutely incredible explosion scene. Where we have Devon Sawa exploding. We have just Chucky body hopping in ways that don't make sense to me. But that's fine. I guess.
I do wonder if this is like tying off the story of Andy and Kyle. Like, I wonder if they are like exit stage left now.
But like that's the thing, because they don't come back. Like the thing is, we have this like huge possession / exorcism scene. Devon Sawa explodes. The therapist runs out with the doll, and episode 7 ends with Andy shooting what we think is the only Chucky doll left. Like, only Chucky doll left. And then, like, in the next episode, they don't come up again.
Yeah.
So, I still think they'll come back somehow, because they keep... I don't think that they would not, like, have them have a more graceful exit. Right? Like, that has to be it. Please.
I don't know. I mean, it felt like an exit series because of the callback to when they were kids walking out of the factory at the end of the second
That's true.
one. So I'm like, is it?
But the problem, I guess the problem, because like we think at episode 7, you're like, okay, cool, so Chucky's done. Like, what else is left? Because we've also seen Glenn gets shot trying to save her mom, Tiffany, from being shot by Nika. And then, is it episode 7 or 8 where we have the truck hitting the Tiffany doll with Jennifer Tilly inside of it?
That was episode 8, and that surprised the fuck out of me.
That definitely got me too. That got me, because then we have Jennifer Tilly dying, but in the body of you all get what we're talking about here. The weird who is who and whose body shit. I still don't fucking know who Chucky, like who is who in Chucky, who, what, when, where, why. What the fuck?
My favorite though is that they get Glenn and Glenda back in the toy body, and Billy Boyd returns to voice Glenn and Glenda. Gigi, he returns, and I was like, it was like so cool.
It was exciting. It was very exciting. Yeah, because we also like. They're setting up a lot of interesting stuff for season 3 then, because like season 7 or episode 7, you're like, cool, like that, what else could happen? And 8 is like this kind of cute like Christmas episode where it's like the kids are back together for Christmas and trying to deal with their trauma. Lexi was in rehab, like Jake and Dylan are like kind of not doing great, struggling because of trauma, and they have this like, nice Christmas moment. While we also have like Jennifer Tilly and the Tiffany doll getting run over by a truck. We have Glenn and Glenda going back inside of the one toy body, so they
and
are
then
both
just deciding to go travel.
okay. Sure, fine, whatever. And Chucky's like not. Chucky's around, y'all, and what we find out is that Chucky possessed the body
Knocks
of
out the psychiatrist, possesses her body, so that when they shoot Chucky, it's actually the therapist or the psychiatrist in the doll. And she somehow has another doll that she has kept in her office that Chucky gets himself into. But then there's another doll, and I'm like, how many dolls are there? Because I thought the whole thing was like, there's a last one.
Yep, there's another doll.
Because Chucky comes down with the quietest chainsaw imaginable.
Absolutely incredible. Silent.
And ends up cutting through Lexi's mom. So now all the kids are orphans.
That was fucked up with the mom getting... I mean, like, I hate that mom, but, like, she getting sliced and diced and, like, splitting in half. And, like, they show it. Like, moment. She is splitting in half. Really good gore. As Chucky is in, like, a Santa Claus hat. Tiffany is like, you have no soul. These kids' parents on Christmas. Like, the like morality of the two of them is always so funny to watch. Like, when they decide to have morals, like, it's just incredible. Like, I love how many morals they're given that make no sense, but like, it's incredible. But then like we get the big fucking reveal that like the little sister has been playing the long con, and the bride doll that you got at the beginning was fucking Chucky and drag the whole goddamn time. I texted Terry, Chucky and drag in all caps, as he's literally taking out his contact. Like, it's like a drag queen get unready with me, taking out the contacts, wiping off the makeup, taking off the wig and the costume, and it's like, boom, bitch.
Yeah, it's
like, good.
It's so good. It's so camp.
And like, it ends with like the little girl reading Voodoo for Dummies and Jennifer Tilly / Tiffany in like this incredible like noir, like very Bound-esque outfit.
It was giving me like Matrix, like
yeah. And then we get a call from Nika, who did not die. Thank God. I was waiting.
I know.
So she's still hunting Tiffany now, and I'm just like, damn. Okay.
But do you think Tiffany's alive or dead by the end of that? Because do you think Nika saves her, or what do you think? Because like he's like marching towards Tiffany with like his knife at the very end. And I'm like, I can't imagine she'd be dead.
I don't think she's dead. I think either Nika saves her for her own bullshit, or like Chucky is like, I can't kill Tiff. There's something. I bet there's something.
So good.
We're ready for season 3.
We sure are. I cannot wait.
I know. I'm very excited.
We made it through.
We did. We made it through. So then, what's next for us, Terry?
So, next week, I think we're going to be talking with Robbie Banfitch. So we're doing something a little different. So we wanted to like try to find ways to get guests back on the show. And one of the things we've been thinking about was doing like a Little Cuts episode where someone comes on the show and brings up a movie, whatever movie they want to talk about. And so we sort of do Little Cuts, and we talk about the movie they want to talk about. We sort of catch up, that kind of stuff. Because there's a lot of people we'd love to have back on the show.
Yeah, lots of people, but it's kind of hard. So this is our fun little trial. Experiment.
Yeah, and so schedules are a little wonky, so we're hoping that we're going to be able to talk with him. And that will be our next episode. And he wants to bring this movie called Planet of the Dinosaurs. And it has, for those watching at home, a glorious poster.
And he loves this fucking movie. He tweeted a picture from like 1995 that he drew a bunch of dinosaurs. So I'm very excited because like, he loves dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So
that's our plan. Like all things could always go astray because we're going to be recording it next week, but that's what we're anticipating for next Little Cuts. But speaking of found footage directors, who do we chat with on for Monday, Mary Beth?
So on Monday, we are chatting with Madeline Kessner, who is the festival director of the Unnamed Footage Festival, which is a festival dedicated to all things found footage and studio documentary and in-world camera. And she brought with her that fucking movie Munchie. So if you've seen both of us tweeting about Munchie, that's why. Because we watch Munchie with Madeline Kessner, and we talk about Munchie and the cosmic horror of Munchie, and it's very good. And we talk a lot about found footage, and then also about, like...
Yeah, and she gives us the deets on some of the big movies that are going to be playing. Stuff that hasn't been released yet, but might be released by the time that episode is out, because it's a little unsure. But if not, you might be getting an exclusive if you listen on Monday. And you will be getting an exclusive, of announcement from us in that episode, too. So, little teaser for Monday. Yeah. Exactly.
Good old Mary Beth Mitch. Bitch. So, listeners, you've heard from us. We want to hear from you. Did you watch anything that we watched this week and have thoughts? Do you have suggestions for guests that you want to see on Little Cuts? You can let us know via email at scarredforlifepodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us directly on Twitter. I am at MB McAndrews.
And I'm at Gaily Dreadful.
And, of course, don't forget to follow the podcast on Twitter at Scarred Podcast.
Please don't forget to review, rate, make sure you are subscribed. It helps us out. And if you want to help support us, speaking of which, we have a Patreon. There is a new seltzer for March, and in a few days, there will be a new Fresh Wounds episode.
There sure fucking will be.
Went for like an hour and 40-ish minutes of...
Yeah, it's almost 2 hours.
Of us talking about this divisive film that I think more people should watch.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you to Eric Power for our artwork. Thank you to Sean Keller for our music. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Please stay safe out there. But most importantly, stay creepy.
And until next time.